Hello, I'm Javier, and I'm going to be teaching you how to play Feral Druid in the Undermined, both Mythic Plus and Raiding. It's going to be super duper beginner friendly, however, I will be telling you everything that you do need to know to excel at a high level. So, first things first, let's take a little quick look at the stat priority, and then I'm going to go over the abilities and how we're going to start off with a single target, and then pretty much what we're doing differently for Mythic Plus, because the rotations are very similar. We are doing different hero talents in both the Mythic Plus and Raiding build, but don't let that put you off. It's a very similar rotation, like I said. Agility and eye level first, of course. Then you're going to want Critical Strike, and then Mastery. That's going to increase the damage done by your Cat Form, Bleed, and other periodic abilities and finishing moves, which is nearly everything that we do, basically, as a Feral Druid. And then you want Haste, and then Verse. So, getting straight into it, before I add the action bars, if you like this UI that you see, you can get it all on my Patreon, and I can help you install it, etc. It's using mostly ElvUI, a Weak Aura, a Voodoo profile, details, and that's actually pretty much it. A lot of people do ask me for it, so I like to offer it on my Patreon as a little thank you for those that support the channel. So, this is the priority list. Left, top priority. Right, bottom priority. And like I said, we are starting off with the single target and raiding rotation. One thing to note, rather than doing a huge opener, which I could do like a 10 button opener, what I'm going to tell you to do is just go into Prowl before you go into combat, and then, which is basically stealth, and then Rake from stealth when you go in. Basically, we always do more damage when attacking from stealth. So when we get that bleed up, that Rake bleed up on our target, it's actually going to do increased damage. Can you see there on the tooltip that's over here, when I hover over it, on the bottom paragraph, while stealth, Rake will also stun the target and deal 60% increased damage. It also says here it costs 35 energy and awards 1 combo point. So let's talk about that quickly. We have 140 energy here. This is what we're using as our main resource that we're spending on our abilities. And then as you can see, I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 combo points. So abilities like Rake are combo point builders. You can see now I've got 4 combo points. I then have abilities here like Ferocious Bite, which is a finisher. If I use it with 1 combo point, it's going to do 40,000 damage. With 5 points, it's 200,000 damage. We're generally going to be using our finishers at 5 combo points. You don't want to overcap, because obviously you're wasting them, if you can help it, but that's how the rotation goes. Building combo points and then spending them. So the priority from left to right then, we have Ferocious Bite. This is your main combo point spender. This does a load of damage. And is a great spender to use. The next one is Tiger's Fury. It's only on a 30-second cooldown, so you can use it a hell of a lot. However, you don't want to use it if you've got a ton of energy. If you see here, it says it instantly restores 50 energy and increases the damage of all your attacks by 15%. Meaning, if we have 140 energy and you use it now, you're going to waste that 50 energy it gives you. You want to use this, but only when you have 90 or less energy, meaning that you won't overcap your energy. Again, it's going to be wasted. After that, we want to use Rip. You want to keep this up at all times. It's another finisher that we have, and basically it's going to do damage over time, the more combo points. So keep this up at all times if you can on your target. Then use Rake and use this at all times on your target. If you notice these fawns coming up on the target here, that is from our hero talents. Oh, one thing to notice, see this little icon here, which is a buff over here, Apex Predator's Craving. Your next Ferocious Bite costs no energy or combo points and deals maximum damage. That's when you see these little yellow lines going around on your Ferocious Bite. Use that as absolute top priority. It is from a talent down here, Apex Predator's Craving. So it's rip damage that does it. Your rip damage has a chance to make your next Ferocious Bite free and deal maximum damage. So it will deal damage as if it's at 5 combo points, and it won't cost any combo points at all. And it's from rip damage. So I said keep your rip up at all times. When it's passively dealing damage, when it's up on the target, it's always sitting there ticking over, giving you a chance to get a free maximum damage Ferocious Bite. Always use that Ferocious Bite whenever you get a free 1 proc. After that, keep up your Rake at all times. Use Thrash as well. Strikes all nearby enemies, dealing an additional bleed damage over 12 seconds. Keep that bleed up as well. Then we have Adaptive Swarm. Use that on cooldown. It basically puts a swarm of like pestilence onto your enemy and then bounces to a new target. It also increases the effectiveness of any periodic effects like damage over time spells on your target. So just use that on cooldown. Feral Frenzy, again use it on cooldown. You unleash a Furious Frenzy, clawing your target 5 times, and an additional amount over 5 seconds. It does award 5 combo points, so make sure you use it after a finisher. For example, I've got 5 combo points. I'm going to use Rip. I've now got none, and then I use Feral Frenzy to get my 5 combo points, and then I use another finisher. If I already had 5 combo points and then used it, obviously I'd be wasting them. Then we have our main big cooldown, Berserk, where you go Berserk. You generate a combo point every 1.5 seconds. Your combo point generating abilities will generate an additional one. So Rake here will not generate 1, it will actually generate 2 to 3. We have a lot of other talents that make it sometimes make more. And you'll also see here, finishing moves restore up to 3 combo points generated over the cap. So if I use Ferocious Bite, I've now suddenly got 3 to 4 combo points back already, and I've got 5. So you are going literally into like feral mode, literally. All attack and ability damage is increased by 15%. After that, you can also use Convoke the Spirits on cooldown. I would use it with your Berserk because they're both on a 2-minute cooldown. Convoke the Spirits flurries out a load of attacks all at once, as you can see there. It makes sense, of course, to use this with Berserk because Berserk means all your attacks, etc., do more damage. The reason I've got Ferocious Bite down here again is because I want you to use it this low in the priority to spend combo points, and only use it as a top priority when you get a free one. After that, use Rake and Brutal Slash to generate combo points. And if you've got nothing else to press, then use Shred. Let's just go over those spells quickly. If this is overwhelming, by the way, I'm going to go over this again a little bit more. Like, we're going to go through it a few times so you don't get overwhelmed. Brutal Slash again awards a combo point, strikes all nearby enemies, and deals increased damage to bleeding targets. Because of your Rake and Rip and stuff, they will actually be bleeding, of course. And then Shred does damage, again does more damage against bleeding targets, which they all will be. And that'll generate 1 combo point as well, and it's your bottom priority. Let's just go through the priority list again. Ferocious Bite is a finisher whenever it's free. Tiger's Fury on cooldown, but make sure you only use it at 90 or below energy so you don't overcap on energy. Keep Rip up at all times. Keep Rake up at all times. Use the Thrash Bleed up at all times. Adaptive Swarm on cooldown. Oh, look, we've got free Ferocious Bite. So I'm going to use that. Feral Frenzy, but only when you've got no combo points. So I would use my Brutal Slash and then my Shred here, and then I would refresh my Rip, and then I would use Feral Frenzy, and then I would use Ferocious Bite to spend those combo points. As you can see, my weak aura, my Rake, and my Thrash have now come off the target, so I'm going to make sure I'm keeping those up. I'm going to reuse my Adaptive Swarm. You're going to go Berserk. Again, keeping up your Rip, and using Convoke the Spirits with Berserk. Obviously, I've used them at different times because of the cooldowns, but I'm just going through this really slowly, showing you. Using Ferocious Bite when Rip is up as your other finisher, keeping up Rake, keeping up Brutal Slash, and Shred as a filler. Ferocious Bite as your kind of main. You can either call Ferocious Bite your filler one because it's the one you're using the most, or you can use it as your main one and you're only using Rip to keep it up. But that is the rotation. So again, Ferocious Bite when you get a free one, Tiger's Fury on cooldown, but don't overcap on energy. Keep Rip up, keep Rake up, keep Thrash up. Adaptive Swarm on cooldown. Use Feral Frenzy when you've got no combo points, and then use your Ferocious Bite. Like I said, keep Rake up, use your Brutal Slash, and use your Shred as a filler. Now let's go through some of the important talents that underpin the rotation I've shown you. Omen of Clarity. Your auto attacks have a chance to cause your next Shred, Thrash, or Brutal Slash to cost no energy at all. So sometimes you will get free ones. This is happening passively within the rotation I showed you, but is important to show. Sabertooth. Ferocious Bite deals more damage, cool. For each combo point spent, it will actually mean that your primary target takes increased damage from you for 4 seconds. Just to have something useful to know. Finishing moves have a 6% chance per combo point to make your next Rake or Shred deal damage as though you were stealthed, so you get the extra 60% damage on there, passively sometimes. If you get a sudden ambush proc, you can actually re-put on your dot because it will actually then do more damage. So imagine I go in and I do Rake and it does X amount of damage, and suddenly I get a proc, and the buff on your buff bar, like on over here, it will be that icon. If you then get that come up, and it'll also appear on your weak aura if you're using one like this. I'm using the Luxfos one. You would then reapply your rake because it will then obviously do more damage because it would be like a stealth version, which is 60% more. Hopefully that makes sense what I'm saying. You can also keep up Moonfire at all times. If you're a super duper beginner, you may not want to use it as much. You may want to get just sort of more comfortable with things, but you can use Moonfire and keep that up on your target. Moonfire is usable in cat form, costs 30 energy and generates a combo point. That is just a dot here as well. I generally don't as much though. Tiger's Fury causes your next 3 finishing moves to restore a combo point, so finishing moves remember Ferocious Bite and Rip, and increases the periodic damage from your bleeds and Moonfire. Now, a really, really important talent is Blood Talons. I'm going to show you basically beginner and more advanced versions of this. Blood Talons. When you use 3 different combo point generating abilities within 4 seconds, the damage of your next 3 rips or ferocious bites is increased for their full duration. So basically, if I use Rake, Thrash, and then Brutal Slash, can you see I now have 3 stacks of Blood Talons? When I then use Ferocious Bite, I have 2 stacks. When I then use, my Rip again, I'll have 1 stack. So basically, if I use 3 generators, let's say Shred, Rake, and Brutal Slash, we're all within 4 seconds of each other. It has to be 3 different spells, so not Shred, Shred, and Shred. It has to be, Shred, Rake, and Brutal Slash, or Shred, Thrash, and Rake. It has to be 3 different ones within 4 seconds. Your next 3 finishers will have 25% increased damage. Now, the only thing about that is you obviously have to think a lot more and make sure that you're doing that. If you are an absolute beginner, you can change the Blood Talons talent and instead take Lion's Strength, where rather than getting 25% damage, but having to do, that acrobatics of using 3 in a row in 4 seconds all the time, you just get a straight up 15% increased damage. What you may be thinking is, okay, but I'm losing 10%. But if you're not as fast or clued up to be able to, to do this Blood Talons mechanic, you actually might be losing DPS, and this one might be a DPS increase for you. If you are a total beginner, maybe just do Lion's Strength. Once you're really comfortable with the rotation, then change out to Blood Talons. It's completely up to you. Blood Talons is a higher DPS if you can do it, but some people think it's a bit more complex, etc. And this is a beginner video. On the hero talents, Thriving Growth, Rip and Rake damage have a chance to cause the vines to grow, etc. And then all of the hero talents they basically revolve around your vines. Have a look at them in your own time once you're more comfortable. Now moving over to Mythic Plus, what you're going to see is that the hero talents are changing, yes, but we're only really changing 2 talents on here. The main one here is Primal Wrath. So the rotation is pretty much the same. However, Primal Wrath, finishing move that deals instant damage and applies Rip to all enemies. So rather than using Rip, you use Primal Wrath because that's going to put Rip onto everyone. The end. Hero talents, you have Ravage. Your auto attacks have a chance to make your next Ferocious Bite become Ravage, and then all of the hero talents revolve around Ravage, and then here like Claw Rampage, during Berserk, Shred, Brutal Slash, and Thrash have a chance to make an next Ferocious Bite become Ravage. So we're going to be using Ravage as a kind of higher priority on our Ferocious Bite finishers instead. That's really all that we're changing with the Mythic Plus rotation here. A lot of our spells already do multi-target damage, like Adaptive Swarm, like our Thrash, and things like that. If, however, we want to look at some of the utilities that you're going to be using in Mythic Plus, because you're going to be using a lot more of them in Mythic Plus than you are in raiding, Bark Skin is a really great defensive for yourself. And again, I'm just pointing out the important ones here. I don't want to overwhelm you, but these are ones that I think are really important. Dash is a great movement speed increase. Hibernate could be really useful. Innovate can be given to a healer to give them some mana. It's actually really massively useful. Mark of the Wild, of course. Prowl is really good in Mythic Plus, even when you're not in combat. Just prowling around and obviously entering stealth is really useful. Rebirth is your battle res, so you can resurrect people in combat. Renewal is a 30% instant heal for yourself. We have Stampeding Roar, a quick movement speed increase for you and your allies. Typhoon is an interrupt, technically, as it will knock back enemies. Skull Bash is also another interrupt that you have on a 15-second cooldown as a Feral Druid. Ursul's Vortex is a great way at slowing down your enemies, and Wild Charge is a really great ability too. Apart from that, we've just got Survival Instincts, which reduces all damage you take by 60% for 6 seconds. And that is the only differences and utilities that you will be using in Mythic Plus. Again, if you want to get my UI, you can get that on Patreon, etc., as well as some of our helpful bits and bobs. Don't forget to subscribe. I do actually do quite a lot on this channel. As you can see, I do every single spec. I've done War Within PvP guides. You can see here, Season 1, 65 videos. I do every single spec, every single season. Pre-patch guides I do as well. I do WoW Classic and Cataclysm as well. I'll be doing Mr. Pandaria if you play that. I do also run the Javi Herobrine channel. If you're also into other games, this is my Minecraft channel. Do check this one out. It's all for modded Minecraft, and I teach everyone how to play mods in there. And I do also have my new channel, Javi How To, which I've repurposed into a variety gaming guides channel. So do check out this one if you're looking for all of the latest releasing games and how to get guides on those.